questions for Jordan?
I asked Shawnee this. I'll ask you. You experienced it first time last year. This 10-day stretch, playing a game Saturday and having that quick turnout. What did you learn from that to maybe applicate this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from that is just being able to take care of your body. Um, that with having that quick of a turnaround, you know, going from playing a game on Saturday and then playing a game on Thursday, you got to make sure you take care of your body, get in the training room, and make sure that we're fresh, for that Thursday to go out there and play against a really good opponent.
After watching the film, what kind of takeaways do you have from last week's game?
Yeah, I think that we left a lot of things out there offensively, defensively. We made some plays on special teams. But I think, just going back and looking at the film, there was a lot left out there. You look at the score and going back and watching the tape, that game could have been much, much closer if we would have just executed better and, focused in on the small details. That's what they did really, really good. They focused in on the small details, and I think that's what got us beat.
A lot was made of, after that loss to Alabama last year and kind of how things snowballed. After this game Saturday in the locker room and today, can y'all sense this is a different team and that can handle this differently than last year?
Yeah, for sure. This is a much mature team. Looking back from last year, I really don't like to compare, but just looking at it, we are a way more mature team, and I think that we'll be able to handle it pretty well.
What do you think of Dave White's catch?
That was awesome. I was on the opposite side of the field, so I couldn't really see if he caught it or not. I thought he dropped it, just because the whole stadium got silent. And then, I seen the referee, waving his arms, and I was like, holy crap, he caught it. And then going back and going into the locker room and looking at it, that's a spectacular catch. D. Wade's a great athlete, and, he's made plays like that, I think, 3 times now. And, it's unbelievable.
We kind of talked about it a little bit, but why do you think you guys were able to get off to a pretty good start in the first and the beginning of the second quarter? What kind of went wrong after that?
Yeah, playing a team like Georgia, they don't make many mistakes, especially on defense. Kirby being a really, really smart defensive coach. So they don't make mistakes, and I think that we were able to capitalize on the times that they did make mistakes early on in the game, and I don't think that we capitalized on those mistakes later on in the game, and I think that's what cost us.
Alex Jackson today at practice, he took that shot, got him out of the game Saturday. How was he today?
He's back to his normal self, out there running around, joking around, and stuff like that. So I think, he's able to recover from that hit really well, and, he'll be back out there on the field Saturday.
Any other questions?
Thank you.